Getting ready for our show tomorrow at 3 o'clock on the 14th. It's going to be down here by the creek behind our house. We are looking forward to God giving us a really warm day and friendly and sweet fellowship. So if any of you are unsure about what it's going to be about, it's going to be three bands with different styles. One's going to be a heavy rock style, another one's going to be like a fun rock, and then the other one's going to be more of an intense worship, a heavier, harder sound. A little screaming, not a lot, but it's worship. It's the scriptures being sung and proclaimed, just kind of like if you've watched me preach, you know there's times when I get really intense. There's times when I actually elevate my voice to the level of a scream. And God gave us that. God gave us the whole thing. He didn't just give us sweet talk, nice talk, whisper talk. He gave us the whole breadth of human emotion. It's all built up in us. When you go to war, you don't go to war, just real loosey-goosey. You go with intensity. You go with passion and zeal. You go charging ahead. You rally the troops, and you're determined to win the war. And I believe that strong worship fits our time. Our time is a time where things have gone really bad for the church. We're very divided and we're very separated. Our doctrine is not clear. People are not walking the walk. Leaders are not leading. Shepherds are not shepherding. Prophets are not prophesying. Apostles are not laying their lives down and planting and sending the next generation leaders. They're not imparting themselves. And we are at a season where we need something strong. We need something intense. It fits our time. And there are times when God draws so close that we just, after the war, we just want to lay down and rest. And we get music like that's softer and sweeter and elevating. It's high notes, soprano. And it's just very soft and very sweet. And that God's in all of it. I was raised in a church where hymns were the thing that we sang, the traditional hymns, not your southern hymns, as I've learned that there's different hymn books. But what we were trained in was the Puritans and the early church father hymns. And those hymns, some hit us really hard. A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. The church is one foundation. These things are things that you would preach, and you'd have a big pipe organ, and you'd have a drum beat, and you'd have cymbals clashing together, and they would declare that Jesus Christ is Lord of his church, and that his church will never fail. It will never be wiped out by Satan and his enemies. Martin Luther was the one that loved music, and he loved all kinds of worship. And then you had John Calvin, who was more into just a cappella worship. And those two camps are still here today. It's not worth it for us to separate. It's just worth it for us to love one another and understand one another. And that will never happen if you are just sitting there with your camp of people agreeing with yourself. You need to be challenged. I needed to be challenged. All I ever knew was hymns. And then God started to give me a little taste of guys who, in a contemporary way, sang hymns like Fernando Ortega. Steve Camp, he was very passionate about the Bible and the truth. And he brought rock and roll to the truth. Phil Keaggy, beautiful guitar player, singing beautiful poems from the past and making them sound good and connected with my heart. That's what our forefathers did. They wanted to connect with the people of their time and their culture. I don't know why we've lost that. We got to get it back. Old is not better. The ancient landmarks are what we're recovering. And those landmarks are methods. Knowing how, by the wisdom of God, the impartation of God's knowledge, to know how to reach our generation. And I just pray for some of you who are older, it's time for you to change. I had to change, and you can change too. Don't give up on this rising generation just because of the way they look. Even if they seem flighty to you, they don't have a good work ethic. How are they going to know unless you show them? It's your responsibility to change. They are just the kids. You've got to pastor and father and shepherd this next generation. That's a strong word of encouragement and exhortation, and it's for you. Don't let this slide by and go through one ear and out the other. Know that God wants you to enter in to this season